Okay, so we're done with the rigging of our head, and we're getting ready to reorganize our rig. But before I do so, there's something that I want to do that is also going to be part of the reorg, so I'd rather do it right now, and it's to create a cut res model for our rig. And what is that? Well, um, basically what we're going to do is the following. Let me unhide here the model of our character for a second. And as you know, later on we're going to take the character's mesh and bind it to the joints in our rig somehow. And that's going to enable us to deform the mesh using the joints, of course. However, we want to enable the animator to work as quickly as he can. And usually when dealing with meshes that are being deformed, there's a certain overhead in terms of the computations that have to happen for the deformed meshes. So for the animator to work as fast as possible, especially when there are several characters in the scene, usually we create what's called a cut res version of the model. And basically what that is taking the mesh of our character and cutting it up in pieces and parenting or constraining those pieces over to the joints of the rig. And that way the character can hide the deforming mesh and avoid using that, and just work with those rigid pieces, which of course, since they're not deforming, they're performing a lot faster too. So that's what we're going to do with our character mesh right here. We're going to create the cut res version of it so the animator can work. So let's start by just hiding everything else. We're not going to need any of these elements for now, and just have the mesh of the character. And I can actually go in and hide also the mouth interior and the eyes. We don't need those. And let's make our model selectable again. So we're going to go to our groups. Here's the Ace Geo group. Let's select it and go to the Assemblies tab and set member selectable back to either on or default. Doesn't really matter. And once that's done, we can select our model again in the viewports. Okay. So once that, now that it's done, we need to duplicate it. So let's make a duplicate of that and hide the original, because this one is going to be C Ace body, and let's call this one bind mesh. And we're going to change the suffix on this one to cut res. Okay? And later on, we're going to organize this geometry group into different subgroups depending on the resolution of the mesh. Oftentimes, a character can have even up to 4 resolutions, usually 3, and sometimes even 2 is just enough. So that the pipeline can switch those resolutions on the fly depending on what's being done at that point. So the cut res is usually displayed for animating purposes. Then you would usually have a low res or mid res in case the animator wants to check how the character is actually deforming in the scene and see what's going on. And at render time, usually the pipeline would switch the res to a high res character, which might come with a denser mesh, displacement maps, and so on and so forth. So for the case of our exercise, we're just going to leave our bind mesh. We're going to assume this would be our high res, and we're going to create our cut res version. So with this guy displayed, let's start splitting him up. So what we're going to do is decide where exactly we want to cut our mesh. And I'm going to use my guide rig as a reference, a visual reference, to see where I'm splitting my character. And I'm going to start by the hands. So I'm going to select my mesh. Let's go to edge component mode and select a loop. This one is missing here, one edge. And I'm going to work at the same time on the other side. So let's select this loop over here and this edge. Once we have those selected, we just right click on them and select split, and the mesh is split over there. Now let's take care of the elbow. Select that loop, select this one over here and split. And if we go to polygon component mode and I double click on this region, you will see that it only selects those polygons because we've already splitted the edges over here and over there, so there's no more connectivity information. Cool. Let's keep on splitting. So for the upper arm, I'm thinking this part over here, it's going to be a little bit problematic if we leave it rigid. We might actually delete it later on, but I'm gonna split my my upper arm over here. See how I feel about that later on when we're working with the character mesh. Let's split that. And now I'm gonna go to the bottom of the character, and let's see. We can split our toes over here, and then we can split the foot right over there. We can split the legs over here, and we're going to split our legs, the upper part of the legs at this point. Okay, now let's do the torso. So let's move over to a front view, and we're going to split over here, and this region we're going to split it over here. Actually, I'm going to undo that, and this time, instead of splitting the edges, I'm just gonna go in ahead and cut across the mesh at points that I deem more suitable for the joints that I'm working with. So let's go to our mesh edit and do a slice right there. So you can see that we have some extra edges. Let's do another one. Hold on. Right there. We'll do another one right here. Another one right there. Since these guys are not going to be deforming, we don't really have to care too much about the appearance of the topology. This one needs to be a little bit higher. Yeah, that's fine. And for this guy, I've already cut the geometry over here. So what I'm going to do is maybe just try to create something going on here, like an edge loop or something like that. Well, I'm going to see what I do with this piece a little bit later. I'm just going to cut this one over here. Let's split that. And for the neck, we might actually do something different later on, and you'll see why. Let's see, this guy has to come over here, and then we can get rid of these edges, and then those, and split this. And now the head of the character. Let's grab those guys, these, and these two. Let's split that. All right, we're almost done. I know I still have to do one more split here across the chest, but before I do anything else, let's see what we have so far. I'm gonna return to item level, and I'm gonna take this and group it. Just create a new group locator here, and we're going to call this group. Let's call this geo cut res. Okay, I'm gonna move it up here. So this is gonna have our our mesh. And I put it in the group because I'm going to unmerge it. So let's unmerge the mesh. So that's going to give us all these meshes. Okay, and now they're nicely organized inside their own group. I'm going to hide the guide rig for now. And let's start renaming these guys because they need to be renamed. So let's see. This is cut res. Let's call this calf. Well, yeah, calf. And let's substitute the C for, this is the left side of the character. So that would be an L. Let's see, what is this? Oh, looks like yeah, this piece I have not finished with it because I did cut it, but I did not split the cuts I did. So let's leave them for last. Let's see what else we got. This is the right upper arm. This would be the right lower arm. And I guess you get the notion of what I'm doing. So I'm going to pause the video right here so you don't have to see me rename everything else. And I'm going to come back when I'm done. So I'll see you shortly. Okay, I've went ahead and renamed everything. So you can see everything is properly renamed over here. And I'm still missing a couple of objects that I need to further subdivide, which are the hands and the torso. So I'm going to do that very quickly. Let's display our torso, and I want to get rid of the upper arms so I don't cut through them. That's all I need. Let's bring our guide rig again, and let's go to a front view, and I need to cut through here. So let's just do a slice over here. Maybe a little bit lower. There you go. And we're done. Now we can start splitting up the torso. So let's do that. Select this one and split here, split here, split over here, and the last one. And I believe, let's see if that worked, because maybe on the back we need to split using a different pattern. So this piece is fine, this one is fine, this one is okay. Yeah, just what I thought. This one is not okay yet. That's because I also need to split at this location. And now let's see. Yeah, now we have this piece, and now we have that piece. So let's rename those. Well, now it's split. Now I need to unmerge this mesh. There we go. Now we have all these pieces. Let's see. I'm gonna find first. This guy is going to be the hips. Then we have where is it? It's this one. Yeah. This would be spine 01. Then we would have this piece over here. This one is spine 02. Then this one. You can call them torso also if you prefer, which actually would be more accurate. I'm just kind of used to this naming convention by now. So there we are. The cut rest of our character is done. Well, almost. Now I need to do the hands. For the hands, I guess you know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna find cutting points for each joint on the fingers. and split over there. So maybe I'll do a couple and then we can continue with other parts of the video. So let's select this loop over here. This one is going to be actually tricky because there is no way to cut going through there. And if I select this one, it's even worse. So we're going to find a different way of cutting. I'm going to have to jump to a different loop at this point, maybe. So let's go this way. Yeah, that way. It's not going to look very pretty. And actually, I could probably cut from here to here to have a much better bridge between these two sections. So I think I'm gonna do that. I'm going to let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Let's go from here to over here like that, and we're done. So let's select this. Actually, it could have been nicer to go from here to here, but yeah, let's do that. Because oops, I re-enabled the tool. This loop is rather funky looking, so let's see. To get from here to there, I think I'm gonna go from here and here. That's gonna be the best path to get there, so let's do that. Let's go from here over to here over to there. There you go. And now we can add that. That's a better shape. It's kind of weird that it goes all this way into the hand, but again, I'm not going to be too picky about this. Let's split. And for this one over here, this one is fine. That's going to be easy. Split right there. Okay, the rest of the cuts should be pretty easy to do, like these. It might become a little bit more difficult here at the base of the fingers, but you should be able to find, well, that's not exactly what I intended. You should be able to find an edge loop that looks like a convenient place to split. So you can just keep doing that. Separate all the different finger sections into different meshes. I'll be right back when I'm done. Okay, looks like I'm done with my hand. Let's check. This would be the actual palm of the hand. First joint in the for the thumb. Second one, same for each joint in the fingers. So that's that. Now I can take the entire mesh and also unmerge it. And now I have to rename these guys. So again, I'm just gonna pause the video and come back as soon as I'm done with the renaming part. Okay, I'm done. I'm done creating all the meshes for my cut rests, and I'm gonna show you what I did. Everything is separated and parented. Oh, this guy should be over there. There you go. What I did is I renamed everything, and I also reordered stuff in my items list so I can correlate to things more easily. So I started, for example, with oh, this needs to be over here. The head. I started with the head, then the neck, then the trapezius, and then all my spine elements, then the hips. So all this section is the center area of the character. Then I went over to the left side and I started working my way down from the upper arm, lower arm, hand. Then from the hand I have each finger, thumb, index, smith finger, and ring and pinky, ordered also going downwards. Then I went to the thigh, the calf, the foot, and the toes. And then I repeated the same for the right side of the character. So that's going to make it easier for me to later on find where things are and do all my linking and parenting work to the rig. So we're done with the cut wrist. This is all we wanted to do. Now what I'm going to do is take the rest of the meshes I have here and group these under a group geo, and we're gonna call this one our high res. Okay, so that's where the rest of our character lives. If I hide this group and I display the rest, then we get all the nice character with all his accessories and stuff. So that's it. We're done with the creation of our different resolutions for the geometry. We can continue to the next step, which is making some sense of everything we've done so far up to this point. So let's continue.